Explore profound sports stories like the journey of Josh Lord. Subscribe to reflect and be inspired with us.
In the world of professional sports, where every contract is not just a labor agreement but a convergence of trust, expectations, and the personal stories behind it, Josh Lord's decision to continue his long-term commitment with the Chiefs and New Zealand's rugby system offers deeper reflections than a typical transfer headline. When examining the details, I don't just see a player renewing a contract, I see the journey of an individual gradually redefining the meaning of perseverance, loyalty, and faith in the environment that nurtured him. The first thing that caught my attention wasn't the 3-year term of the contract, but its context. A 2.04 meters athlete who has donned the All Blacks jersey could easily become the target of clubs worldwide. In an era where sports are increasingly influenced by commercial factors, a player choosing to stay is not always the rational decision in terms of finances or prestige. But this is precisely what makes Josh Lord's story thought-provoking. He didn't choose the most attention-grabbing path. He chose the one that held the most personal significance.
I wondered, what drives someone to make such a simple decision, as he described? Perhaps the answer lies in how he views his own journey. Born in Auckland, raised in Taranaki, and stepping onto the big stage with the Chiefs and the national team, Lord was not an instant prodigy, but the product of gradual accumulation. This brings a very practical thought. Not everyone needs shortcuts to succeed. Some paths are longer, less illuminated, but they help build a stronger foundation. Another crucial detail is injury. Missing the entire 2022 season due to a serious knee injury was not only a professional interruption, but also a psychological challenge. In sports, injuries not only take away physical capability, but can also shake an athlete's self-belief. Yet what stands out is how the Chiefs continued to place their trust in him during this difficult period. This, it seems, became one of the most important reasons he decided to stay. From a personal perspective, I realized that trust cannot be measured solely by immediate results. An organization willing to trust you when you're not at your best is the place where you can grow sustainably. This holds true not only in sports, but in any environment, work, education, or personal relationships. I began to question myself. Am I in such environments, and if so, have I appreciated them enough? On another level, this story also highlights the value of stability. In the coming years, with major events like the Rugby World Cup, tours to South Africa, or the British and Irish Lions series, pressure and expectations will be immense. In this context, maintaining a familiar environment allows a player to focus on their craft rather than constantly adapt to new changes. It made me realize that sometimes, staying is not a sign of lack of ambition, but a reflection of self-awareness.
I was also drawn to how Lord talks about home. Hamilton, the Chiefs, Taranaki, they are not just places or clubs, but emotional anchors. In a world that is increasingly transient, where people frequently change homes, jobs, and surroundings, the concept of home can become vague. But this story reminds me that home is not only where we are born but where we are nurtured, trusted, and allowed to be ourselves. From a fan's perspective, when a player chooses to stay, it creates a unique sense of connection. Fans cheer not just for performance but for the story. They want to witness growth, overcoming adversity, and long-term commitment. A team is built not only on players' skills but also on the invisible bonds between athletes and the community. When a player says he loves the fans and enjoys wearing the jersey, it is not a formal statement but part of his identity. However, objectively, this decision also comes with challenges. Staying in a familiar environment can provide stability but may also risk stagnation without innovation. To continue developing, Lord will need to generate his own motivation rather than rely on external changes. This raises a broader question. How can a person maintain progress when everything around them has become familiar? I believe the answer lies in conscious self-development. Comments from coach John O'Gibbs about Lord's skills and physicality show that he has reached a certain level, but that does not mean the journey is over. On the contrary, it is only the beginning of a new phase, with higher expectations, greater pressure, and stricter demands. From this story, I take an important lesson. Sustainable growth does not come from impulsive decisions but from conscious choices based on self-awareness and understanding one's environment. Sometimes, the right decision is not to seek something new but to make the most of what we already have.
For fans, Josh Lord's story serves as a reminder that behind every match are complex personal journeys. We don't always see the struggles, injuries, or tough decisions athletes face. Supporting a team is not only about celebrating victories but also standing by them during challenges. For people in general, this story carries a broader significance. It raises questions about how we define success, whether we are willing to stay loyal to our values, and how we confront challenges on the path of growth. In a world that constantly pushes for change, sometimes persistence is the hardest thing of all. The tone of this story, if told in a long video, likely does not need dramatic peaks. It suits a calm, reflective approach, allowing viewers to absorb and ponder. There's no need to exaggerate or embellish. The authenticity of the journey alone provides its value. Reflecting on the entire story, I realize what makes it memorable is not the numbers or titles but how a person chooses their own path. In a world full of choices, knowing what you want and daring to pursue it may be one of the hardest things. And perhaps that is exactly what Josh Lord's story quietly conveys.
Thank you for joining us in exploring Josh Lord's story. Keep following along to witness the value of perseverance and loyalty.